Hi guys, Ingrid Marsh here for Unleash It in a Badass campaign where I equip women like you with the well-being and the badass mindset to take on this life, this world and win. So it's a while now since I haven't done these interviews, but through popular demand, they're back again. And who better to kickstart with this badass, other than this badass mother, Sade. So briefly tell you about this. So we talk about being badass, all the rest of it. And I think what we neglect sometimes is that some women, some mothers are going through really difficult situations, which can impact their well-being. And in this particular instance, Sade had a very difficult situation she had to deal with once, where her baby was diagnosed with a life-threatening cancer. So I brought Sade on to join us on today's show, my first show on Mission of Badass show in a long, long while, because I wanted her to share with us her story, and especially how she was able to keep up badass during that time. So stay listening. Hi guys, thanks for sticking with us. Above me now I've got the wonderful Sade Tuite, a mother who went through a very, very difficult time. But rather than me rattling on and telling you all about it, we're going to have Sade do it herself. Sade, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very well, my darling. Thank you so much. I couldn't ask for something more wonderful to be the first person on my Unleash It in a Badass show. Thank you so much for agreeing. So, Sade, will you tell us a little bit about yourself and your story?
So I'm a mother of three. I had my first son in my teens. I had him when I was 17, and I've got a daughter. She's in the middle, and then I had my last son 3.5 years ago. And yeah, he was always in good health. You know, he didn't have any kind of health concerns all through his, like, from when he was born. He was born a bit early, but that's just another story altogether. But yeah, he didn't have any health concerns, any problems, perfectly happy, healthy baby. And when he was 17 months, not 17 months, I'm getting the date mixed up. When he was 14 months old, he was diagnosed with cancer. So at first we were told that it was a Desmoplastic small round cell tumour, and we were told that he would have a 15% chance of surviving. And yeah, everything obviously was a bit crazy. So yeah, it just turned everything upside down. Obviously, it just turned your whole life upside down.
But before you carry on, I know that this is the point where it was correctly diagnosed, but it wasn't at the beginning, was it, Sade? Tell us a bit about that.
No, it wasn't correctly diagnosed at the beginning. Basically, he had to have 5 different types of chemotherapy. So he would have them on a cycle, and he had that for 5 months. And was it 3 months? I think he had that for 3 to 4 months, and then they decided that they felt that it had shrunk enough. So originally they thought it might take 5 months to shrink, but they managed to get it to a size that they thought that they could operate and remove it within about 3.5 months.
Oh, so what I meant, it wasn't picked up, because I think there was a small lump on his leg or something, but it wasn't picked up as cancer immediately.
Oh. No, it was picked up as cancer immediately.
Oh, it was?
They just thought that it was a different type. So they just thought that it was a different type. So they thought that it was a Desmoplastic small round cell tumour from the initial biopsy, and the lump was on his hip. So that's the diagnosis that they gave. They started really aggressive chemo, five different types, as I said. And then when they felt that they'd shrunk it enough, which was in the July, he had been diagnosed in the April. They decided to operate, and that's when they decided it was small enough. They felt like that it had been small enough from the chemo to actually try and remove it, and they did remove it successfully. And they also had to remove his left kidney as well, because they said that the cancer had destroyed his left kidney as well.
So just going back to when this lump appeared on his leg.
Yeah.
You have 2 other children. Did that mother intuition kick in, and you say to yourself, I'm not saying you didn't have mother intuition if it didn't kick in.
Yeah.
But you did immediately. I mean, did cancer come to your mind when you saw that? Were you alarmed?
Yeah, I initially wasn't with him. He was with his dad, and his dad called me and said he's got a lump on his hip. So obviously I said we need to get him to the hospital. As soon as I heard lump, he always had a hernia. So he had a hernia on his belly button.
Right.
So I asked his dad obviously to clear up, was it that? He said no, it's like a lump and it's hard and it's on his hip and it's like half the size of a golf ball. So I said obviously we need to get into the hospital, and I did initially think lump, maybe cancer, but because he was a baby and because he was so small, I just thought no, it must be something else. And because he wasn't in my care, obviously I didn't immediately see it right away. When I got to the hospital and I saw it and I felt it, it was just literally like rock hard, and I could just tell from the way that the doctors were carrying on that it was something very, very serious.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, it's good. Yeah, that's so. I'm sorry to take you back to that time. It must have been really difficult, Sade. I know. I'm sorry, Sade. I suppose on a positive note, it was good that they did recognise it.
Yeah,
and
of course.
they were acting immediately as because when I first read your bio, I thought, oh my gosh, they didn't realise.
Yeah.
And, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah. And they didn't realise, but I'm pleased that they did see it as something quite serious. And the thing is cancer in children is quite rare. I've read this kidney cancer rather is actually quite rare in children. So I'm really pleased that they did pick it up. So I know you've gone very quickly from them diagnosing it and them shrinking it and what have you, but I imagine that those 3 months before it was small enough to remove. What were those 3 months like, Charlotte? Can you explain that period to me?
It was just really, really hard. Obviously having 2 older children as well, and kind of like having to explain it to them. I feel like kids don't really see the advancements with medicine, with cancer and things like that. I still think that they just see it as somebody's going to die, you know, like, and it was very hard explaining it to them, and obviously trying to reassure them when I wasn't really sure if he was going to be okay. So it was just a really crazy time, because I didn't want to say too much to them, you know, because I didn't really know myself what was going to happen. And obviously we'd been told that it was very, very rare that he was going to come out of it and be okay, because they'd said that he obviously would have a 15% chance of actually making it through the treatment and everything like that. So it was just a very difficult time. Obviously all of his hair fell out, and he was very, very slim. He lost a lot of weight, but he was a soldier, you know, like he would still he would like, obviously he was a baby, like there's not really much he could say or do, but I mean he was still he would smile, and he would, you know, he was still quite content. I always felt that when they said that he would have to stay in the hospital, I kind of felt like, because he was a very active baby, I felt like that room would drive him crazy, like just him being inside would just drive him mad. But he adapted really quickly, which is still kind of a bit bittersweet, because it's just not in his nature to just really be still in one place. But I mean, he did what he had to do, and obviously, you know, I did what I had to do. And yeah, I just had to try to really reassure my other 2, and just try and stay strong. I didn't really want them to see me like break down all the time. So I just tried to stay strong, and I just feel like I had to be as positive as I could be, even though I was unsure. I had to keep a positive mindset, and that's what I tried to do, really.
And that is even more strained for you, really, isn't it? Because inside you are feeling difficult. As a mother, I know, you know, there's many times I've been in situations where I'm absolutely drowning, and I don't want my son to see that. And you put on these brave faces, mothers for the children, don't we? But your case is even more challenging, I think, because I have, you know, one son, you know, when he's, well, he has had a health scare when he was born for 6 months, but nothing as tragic as this, and now I realise. But it was just, you know, it's just me and him effectively, although I'm not with his dad was at hospital, what have you. But in your case, the thing I thought to myself was, you know, when my son is ill, how much it just takes over my whole world. But you still have 2 other children who still have who still needs mother's love. But I know the situation, I think, but it must be so consumed with Teddie. We know his name is Teddie. It must be so consuming with Teddie. Like, how do you divide up that? How do you still keep the other 2 loved or were they really just okay with you just letting go and dedicating your time to Teddie?
No, I made sure that we kind of utilised the times that Ted had to be in the hospital. We utilised the in-house kind of activities, and they do a lot of family days, and they do a lot of activities, and they have a lot of entertainers come around to the bedsides and things like that. So I would make sure that my best friend was like my biggest help during Ted's treatment. Like, I can't thank her enough. Like, she coordinated everything perfectly, made sure that my other two were okay at the nights when I was at the hospital, because me and his dad would stay one night on, one night off. So she coordinated really well with my other two children, and, you know, just dealt with a lot of the little things, so I didn't have to think about them. Sorry, but yeah, she would just do like some things. They were just, obviously to her they're small things, they're nothing, but to me, like just coming back in and not having to wash up, or my bed was made, because obviously I'd left it unmade because I would want to get back to the hospital as quick as I could on the days that I was up there.
Yeah.
And I would always leave really late on the nights that his dad was staying, just so I could be back like first thing in the morning. So it was literally just sleep and go back. So she just coordinated really well, and she was a big part in still making sure that the other two had everything that they needed when I wasn't at home, and just making sure that she was doing things with them, and you know, kind of keeping their mind at ease. And as I said, just bringing them up to the hospital as much as I could. That was a big part of it, was just making sure that they were at the hospital.
What's her name? What's her name? She deserves a big shout out, right?
Sashelle, yeah, she does.
Well done, you, Sashelle. But I'm not surprised, actually, because one of the things I felt about when I met you, and there's a wonderful saying at the top of your Facebook group. You have a women's Facebook group, which we'll touch on.
Yeah.
And it says, and I remember I read and I thought, oh my gosh, that is so you. And it said, if you shine and you allow another woman to shine too, like, you both can shine. And there's something about your personality ever since I've met you where it seems so pure, so open and so loving. I'm not surprised that you had that.
That's how I feel about you.
Thank you so much. But I'm not surprised you had that kind of beauty around you to help support you.
Okay.
I really give thanks for that.
Thank you.
Sade, so they then removed the tumour. They then realised, sorry, remind me again, when did they realise it wasn't the 15% chance of survival one? It was the Wilms one, I believe, which is a little bit, it has a better survival rate.
Yeah, so when they removed the tumour and they removed Ted's left kidney, they obviously take the tumour off, you know, to the lab to test it, to do what they need to do. And it was about a week or two after they'd removed it that they told us that it wasn't in fact a desmoplastic small round cell tumour, it was a Wilms tumour. And with Wilms tumours, the survival rate is usually over 85%. So obviously that was just fantastic news, you know, like it just turned everything kind of like the other way around. I mean, you're never grateful for cancer, but in that aspect, kind of was grateful for that type of cancer instead of obviously the one that they thought it might be, but it still was a stage 4 Wilms tumour. And I think that's where when they did the biopsy at the beginning, I think that's where they thought that it was the other one, right, because they said that the cells were so bad in form that they believed it was the other type. And at that point, they told us that it spread to Ted's lymph nodes, so he still had to carry on having some chemotherapy and radiotherapy as well. So he continued on for another 7 months having chemotherapy, and he had a good few rounds of radiotherapy as well.
Crikey. So yeah, I hear that, because I obviously did a bit of research before you came on board, and realised that the Wilms was the if you're going to have one, let it be that one.
Yeah, yeah, basically, yeah.
We wanted it to be that one. But I didn't realise, of course, before then that they thought it was the other one. So that was great news. You realised it was the Wilms. However, it's stage 4, which I know in cancer terms is not a great number.
No.
But still, I picked up from your disposition and your aura that you felt just better than you did before, even though it was stage 4.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. It was more about the research that is behind Wilms tumours, and because they are so much more researched, because they're they're less rare than the other one. The other one, there's not a lot of research, because one, they said that if Ted was the youngest child to ever have it, And they said that it normally would happen like in a child's teenage years. So they had no research on a child at his age having it. So really and truly, the 15% wasn't even really a fact for him. It was just in general, you know, and most of the people that had that type of cancer had not survived the past 3 years after having their treatment, if they made it through their treatment. So obviously to hear that it was a Wilms tumour, even though it's still cancer, was just like a big relief, because we knew that his outcome later on in life after his treatment, if it worked how it should, he would have a better outcome and he would have a longer life expectancy and everything like that. So yeah, it was a big relief in a weird, you know, strange kind of way, but it was a very, very big relief. And yeah, I was basically happier that it was that than the Desmoplastic. Yeah.
So, I mean, you've got 2 other children, 2 healthy children. Any big major problems like this in the past?
No, healthy children.
Not at all.
No problems.
So did you not honestly ask yourself at any stage, like, not saying that you wish it for anybody else, but why me? Why us? Why Teddie?
Yeah.
Those questions.
I kind of, at the beginning, I remember sitting with my best friend and a couple of my friends, and I was just saying, I wish it had been me rather than him. And because I just felt like, obviously he's a baby, he's so small, and obviously what I was being told, and everyone kind of was like, look, Sade, it couldn't have been you, because at the end of the day you have to look after all 3 of your kids, do you know what I mean? But you have got the tools to do what you need to do, and you've got the tools to get through this. And all the way through, they all said to me, like, if I was in your shoes, I could have never been how you were, and I could have never, you know, held everything together how you did. And I made sure that when he was on his home leave and stuff like that, we did every activity going, like, nothing stopped me getting him out and about. But for me, it was more of a case of, you know, I don't know what could happen, so I want to make sure that he's enjoying himself when he can enjoy himself. And yeah, of course, I did think, you know, why the hell is this happening? Like, what is going on? And I've not had an easy life, you know, as it is. So it was kind of like, what is really going on? Like, this is like the biggest, worst thing that could have ever happened. Like, it made everything else look minuscule compared to it. But it was just, yeah, you do sit there and you just think, like, what on earth is happening? Like, what is going on? And, you know, there's so many conspiracy theories around cancer, and I just thought to myself, you question everything, you're like, oh my God, he's only just started eating those. I know people say that it's in the food, or it's, you know, so you think, well, no, he's a baby, he's still eating like very healthy foods. And, you know, you start thinking about everything, and you just kind of, yeah, there's no answers, you know, like there isn't no answers. And it took for me to be in that hospital for 6 months for someone to explain to me what cancer was. Like 6 months. And I was just, you know, like, once someone explains to you what it actually is and how it develops and how it, you think to yourself, all of these kind of conspiracy theories kind of go out the window. I'm not saying that there aren't things that can contribute to it, you know, or probably make it worse, or probably, you know, I don't know, like, but it's a natural occurring thing that can happen within your body. And it doesn't matter what, it's not to say it doesn't matter what you eat or what you do, but I mean, to an extent it doesn't, because it's your DNA structures, like, you know, and it took a while for someone to explain that to me.
And thanks for clearing that up, because there are so many myths and so much talk around the whole topic. And like, this is a baby.
Yeah.
I mean, like, none of that counted here.
Yeah.
So how would you say, he's better now, isn't he? So
yeah, he's been in remission for 18 months. So yeah, he's doing really, really well. Like, he's like a shadow of his former self. He's just so healthy, and you just would never know. Even he will never know. Like, his scar is fading, you know, like, he's got a big scar right across his stomach from one side to the other. It's already fading. And I think he's literally going to be like, what do you mean, Mum? Like, there's no, you know, like, that's how I feel that he'll be. Like, what do you mean I had cancer? No, I didn't. Like, I think that's how he'll be. So yeah, I'm just really glad that he's happy and he's thriving, and yeah, he's catching up really fast. So it's really good.
Fabulous. How would you say this experience has shaped you overall?
Oh, how it shaped me overall. Do you know what? I've always been a person who I express gratitude whenever I can, and I'm very, you know, I'm all about good energy and things like that. And I think it just really heightened that for me, and it really kind of brought it home that, Sade, you know, there are some things that you can't help, but just being how you are is what is going to help you to get through it and to not, you know, leave such a negative impact in your life. Like, I mean, I could have let it completely destroy me. Like, I could have made it more about me than it was about Ted. Do you get what I mean? And that's never something that I've ever wanted to do. I've never been like that. That's just not my personality. But I think it just kind of brought it home that, especially with the support from like my best friend and things like that, I just really think that it made me realize like who is really there for me. And because I lost a couple of family members along the way because I think that their behavior was just shocking. So I had to kind of let them go. And yeah, it just kind of made me, it's definitely made me stronger. It's made me more assertive. It's made me more, I trust my intuition a lot more. You know, like, there were some people that I should have had out of my life well before that happened. And that just kind of gave it the final boot. I was like, yep, can't have you around. Yeah. Or you're not around anyway, you know. So, yeah, it kind of, I wouldn't say like it was some drastic transformation, but I mean, it kind of made me more certain of my good heart and what really carries me through when times are hard for me and my kids. And at the end of the day, it's me and them before anything else, you know. And I've always kind of been a person where I'm kind of like, my kids come first, then everyone else, then me. And I kind of flipped that around, because at the end of the day, if I'm not making sure I'm good and I'm okay, then I'm not really any use to my children first and foremost. And that's who is always going to be the most important. Everything else is an afterthought. And I realised that when I was sitting in that hospital for days and days and months and, you know, over a year, that you really have to make sure you're good. You have to check in with yourself, and you have to make sure you're doing what you need to do to make sure that you're okay. And sometimes that's going to, you know, include saying no to other people and saying, I can't deal with that right now. And that's something that I've definitely learned in this, you know, because my friends were scared to talk to me about just general things, because they were like, well, nothing's as big as what Sade's going through. So they kind of, and I was like, look, you lot, don't be walking on eggshells. And, you know, if you had a bad day at work, you can still talk to me about normal stuff. I still want to be like in the normal world, you know. So yeah, I had to have a big talk with them about that. And yeah, I just tried to keep a sense of normality, and that's what really carried me through. And I just came out of it thinking that obviously my son is amazing, like he's a soldier. Like, all my kids, they're so strong. And I mean, I suppose one of the big things that I took out of it as well was knowing that you can be strong, and people can always say you're strong, you're strong, you're strong, but you don't have to be if you don't want to be as well. Because there was a lot of times when I was kind of like, you're strong, don't, you know, let it get to you, just push on, do what you need to do what you need to do. And I needed those moments to not be strong, to then build myself back up. So
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm, you know, deemed strong, badass, blah blah. But there's times I break down. I tell people not to. Sometimes I'm just like gooey.
You have to.
So, but you picked up on some really key points there, which I think is just so awesome. Number one, because I, like you, just dedicate everything to my son. You know, I'd keep my son. I'd cast myself as the Statue of Liberty. There's my son above the water and down and underneath.
Yeah.
Guys, not a good idea. It took many years to learn that. So I'm glad you've learned that now, where you've got to look after yourself. You know, you've got to put that mask, they say on the aeroplane mask, you've got to put on yourself first, so you can be strong for your kids. I love the point you just said there as well about, you know, that friend, or the friend might be the family member. Do you know what I mean? You know, family is a soul thing. Do you know what I mean? It isn't necessarily blood or, you know, cousin or what have you. It may be great, that may not be. And that's really beautiful. And in fact, what would be your, in closing, and unfortunately we do have to close, what would be, no, before we close, I know that you've got a women's group, haven't you, which you formed while you were in the hospital. Could you just tell us briefly about that?
I didn't form it while I was in the hospital. I was really debating doing it while I was in the hospital, but I just felt like I was overthinking it too much, and I wanted it to have all this structure, and I wanted to be able to do it in a really organised way, because that's how I can be sometimes, and I realised that's not going to happen while I was in the hospital. So end of last year, I decided that I wanted to have my women's group, because I feel like women, we take on so much, and most of the time we just, you know, go through life going, yeah, I'm fine, yeah. You know, we can see that you're juggling a lot, hun. No, but I'm still fine, like, it's cool, don't worry. And I just wanted to create a space for women to just feel open and supported, and just to feel free to, you know, say jokes, share pictures, share life events, ask for advice, do whatever they want to do in there, really and truly. And I'm really happy that they're in there amongst other women that they don't know, and they feel so able to talk so freely, and you know, they feel like they are a part of it, like they know that they're all welcome to post whatever they want. And yeah, it was a big step for me. It was a big step for me to get in there and talk about how I'm feeling sometimes, and talk about some things that I would kind of overthink too much, to the point where I just don't talk to anyone about it. So it's been a nice venting space for me. It's been a nice venting space for the other women in the group. And I just want women to understand that it doesn't matter what, you know, stage you're at in your life, that we're all the same. We're all the same. We're all sisters. You know, we're all, you know, you could see a woman that's doing better than you and think, oh my God, I'm the same age as her. I've got the same amount of kids as her. Why is it happening for her? It's not happening for me. But everyone's got a time and season, and your time and season is coming. Do you know what I mean? But always congratulate and support other women, and build other women up. There's no, you know, there's enough room that no one needs to be tearing each other down. And I just wanted to kind of reinforce that, because I know that sometimes people can perceive women's friendships as very fickle and very, you know, bitchy and catty and things like that. So I kind of wanted to have a space to reinforce that at the end of the day, if you need someone, there's always someone here.
Absolutely.
And that's why I started the group. So yeah, I'm really happy.
Yeah, and I, you know, that's what's so nice about you, Sade, that, you know, many people can talk the women empowerment thing. When it comes down to it, they too have those fears of, you know, competition, and there not being enough, and adopt this really limited mindset. And I understand where it's come from. A lot of it's come from fairy tale stories where we had to be pretty enough to find a man, and so they brought about this competition thing amongst women and what have you. And it takes a beautiful mindset such as yours to know that, you know, we can be good. Do you know what I mean? It's a different journey, and it's all good. And so what's really lovely about it is that it's not just talk, it's actually incredibly authentic. So I just want to thank you for that as a woman empowerment person myself, because it's beautiful. You know, we just need more women like that. So thank you so much, my darling. So
thanks for having me.
No, you are too divine. You're even more divine now, even more. I want you to leave us with 3 badass tips that you'd like to give to other mothers, because there are other mothers. There are 101,000,001 children, Great Ormond Street Hospital. We knew they do an amazing job there. All over the world, there are mums, parents going through this. What 3 tips would you give them?
I would say, especially if you're in the situation where you are dealing with a sick child or whatever, even if you are by yourself, I would definitely recommend, because it was hard for me at first, but I would definitely recommend, even if you are just by yourself in the hospital, to utilise the play workers and just have some time outside in the fresh air to yourself. Even if your child isn't able to go outside in the fresh air. Ted wasn't able to go outside in the fresh air for a while. So I found that I wasn't really going outside in the fresh air, but you really need to just go for a walk, let them play with them, even if it's for 10 minutes, you know, and just kind of use the tools that are around you, and don't feel judged, because no one in there is judging you. They're all there to help you. The second tip that I would give is to probably get dressed every day, like normal. Get dressed every day. It makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Like I was showering and getting back into pajamas, but I mean, no, get dressed. When your little one's having a sleep or a nap or whatever, just get dressed. Like, keep that kind of sense of normality for yourself. And it kills some time for you as well, because otherwise you just kind of watch them sleep, and then the machine beeps and you're like, you know, everything goes crazy again. So I would say get dressed properly and, yeah, keep that sense of normality. My third tip would be to, what would my third tip be? My third tip is more of a practical tip, actually, because everyone was super impressed the way I decorated Ted's room, but I just felt like it needed some colour in there. So I got some banners and things that were easy to fold away, because people were like, you know, bringing their kitchen sink, and I'm like very organised packer. So I was like, right, I need things that can fold away quickly if he changes room or if we change ward or anything like that. So I would get the honeycomb kind of banners, and they were all different colours. And I did balloons, like giant balloons. I bought him giant balloons, but I didn't tie them up. I would get, like, you know, like the food bag clips.
Yeah.
So I could reuse them again and just kind of get them down very quickly, take it off, get them down very quickly. So I'd say, yeah, things like that. I'd say just give yourself like a bit of colour. Obviously there's limitations in hospitals, I understand that, but I mean, try to make it a home away from home. Bring yourself a nice fleece or something comforting for yourself and for your little one.
I love those all. I love those all. I'm a nature fanatic, so I love the one. Get outside, get some nature, get some green. I love that. Get dressed, yeah, for real. That is so empowering, right?
Yeah, you have to get dressed.
Get your lippy on.
Definitely, definitely.
And environment. I'm always banging on about the environment. Your environment is everything. Your environment can make or break you. So yeah. Get that room nice and bright and lovely, like you are. Sade, you've been absolutely scrumptious. If anybody wants to join your women's group, my darling, what's the name of it?
It's called World in Women, and it's on Facebook, and it's for every woman, so everyone is welcome.
Wicked. And I joined too. So I'm going to put a link to that in the recording as well. Sade, I think you're awesome beyond words. I'm going to put a picture up as Teddie as well, because I know he's thriving, he's kicking ass, and the rest of your family. And thank you so much for all of my life for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having me.
My pleasure, my darling. Bye.